A really common fault where students will fail their driving test is on a hill start because they don't even put it into gear. So when you're driving around, one of the pulls up that you need to do is on a hill because you've got 4 pull-ups and one of them is the hill start. So let's just say the student is driving down the road and there's a huge hill. The examiner is going to be like, can you pull up on the left, please? So mirrors, signal and pull up, fine. And then when the student is on the hill, they suddenly think to themselves, oh, I'm on such a massive hill. Like, I'm like freaking out. So at this point, they're not even in gear. They put their clutch down and they don't put it into gear. They're still in neutral. And then the student starts to come up to the biting point, which they're never going to find because they're not in gear. So I can see their foot coming up to the biting point. And then there's this moment where they obviously think, well, the bite's normally there, so it must be there. So I'll just keep my foot still now where it normally is. And then they do all the checks like this. And if I'm doing a mock test, I'm like, oh, we're so going to roll right now. We're so going to roll because I can't intervene unless I need to, unless it was dangerous and someone's behind us. But they check all the way around. They check their blind spot and then they release the handbrake and then we roll. And I'm afraid that's an immediate fail unless you were to brake within instantaneously. But you're going to roll. So my strong advice to you in these situations is never, ever, ever release the handbrake unless you can feel your biting point. It is so important. When I'm with a student and we're on a hill start and I'm doing a mock test and they do what I'm saying, they don't put it into gear and they put their clutch down. When I'm with a student who lifts the clutch up and they're like, where's my bite? Where's my bite? And then they're like, where is it? And then their foot keeps on coming off and their foot completely comes off the clutch and they're looking down like, what the hell just happened? And then they're like, sometimes they don't even understand. And I'm like, you're not in gear. And they're like, oh God, not in gear. Or they'll come off completely and then their brain will then snap and go, oh, gear, of course. But those students I prefer because they didn't just guess where the biting point is. They came off and then they suffered confusion, which I prefer. Do you see what I mean? Because we didn't roll backwards. So go to lift up and go to where you think the biting point is, but make sure you can feel it because you might not be even in gear. Do you see what I mean? So it's very important that you've got response. Wait for response. Make sure the front of the car is lifted. Make sure you can feel the biting point. It's so important. And then check everything, make sure you can feel it, check everything. And then when you release the handbrake, because you're on a hill, for a moment, keep your feet still and then off you go. All right, guys? Hope that helps.